Story 1. For my car, it has to be the OnStar and satellite radio. I don't really see the benefits of paying for OnStar, and I use Android Auto for music and GPS. Story 2. The car's infotainment setup. Please support Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I do not want to use the built-in TomTom map program. I do not want to use the built-in phone call system. I do not plan on purchasing SiriusXM or any other subscription music services you offer. Story 3. My car has an automatic parking feature that parks itself. However, it is so slow that it becomes annoying, so I never use it. Story 4. Built-in phone charger pad. It does not work unless the phone is out of the case and perfectly centered. It also gets extremely hot, even though it charges slower than a standard universal serial bus charger. Story 5. Manual speed on an automatic car. I love driving manual, but without control of the clutch, it just feels pointless or like something that will likely damage the car faster. Story 6. My car has crank windows and manual controls. I have a radio and a compact disc player. I do not know if the compact disc player works. I have never tried it. I have a rearview mirror and no camera. My key is a flat piece of metal. I love it. Story 7. My car highlights having lane assistance, but as far as I can tell, it only notifies me when I cross a white line, which I already know because I am driving. Therefore, I do not use it as it seems pointless. Story 8. The sunroof or moonroof. I heard a mechanic say that he has to fix leaks on sunroofs constantly. After hearing that, I stopped using it. Story 9. Paddle shifters. I think I have used them once in the almost 6 years I have owned this car because the car does a pretty good job of shifting on its own. Story 10. Panoramic sunroof. I didn't want it, but it was included in the package I wanted. I have never used a sunroof in any car I have owned, and the last two had them. I don't understand the fascination with sunroofs. Story 11. Keyless entry. I didn't have one for years, but the past 3 vehicles have had them. I still use the key out of old habit, I guess. Story 12. The automatic start feature is frustrating. I drive a manual car, and I think it is probably the most unnecessary feature. It only turns on automatically when I switch to economy mode. The first time it happened by accident, I thought my engine was stalling. Story 13. Auto start-stop feature that shuts off the engine every time I come to a stop. I want to get a programmer just to turn that off. The worst is when you are about to pull into fast-moving traffic with the stereo on and do not realize the engine is off. Story 14. Voice commands. I never got around to figuring out how the system works. I think you have to train it to recognize your voice. I would also need to find out what things I can and cannot control with voice commands, and whether it is worth learning. Story 15. The driver's side window roll all the way down with one touch feature often causes the window to roll down more than intended because I did not push down lightly enough. Story 16. Auto restart. I hate it. Part of the car start routine is hitting the cancel button for it every time. Story 17. I have opened the sunroof maybe twice. I get noise and vibration when I try to drive with it open. Story 18. Auto start-stop. Disabled it permanently through the engine control unit. The minuscule savings it claims to bring, which are next to nothing based on experience, are not worth the irritation it causes, nor the need for a more expensive battery. Story 19. Automatic engine shut off at a red light. I would rather burn through gasoline than car starters, power steering, and trailer backup assist because those features are for pavement drivers. Story 20. Lane keeping assistance. I am the driver. I am in control of the car, and I do not need the car to tell me what to do. As the driver, I am responsible for the control of the vehicle, which means I should not be distracted by other things like phones or anything else. I just wish more people would pay attention when driving their cars. Story 21. Lane keep assist is far too aggressive in my car. The system tries to force the steering to stay in the lane. However, on United Kingdom non-motorway roads, there are many times when the lane keep assist thinks I am in danger of crossing the lines when I am only trying to avoid something at the side of the road or make an efficient turn. Story 22, well, it is the double pop-out machine guns used once and the ejection seat never used. The oil slick is handy. Story 23, the auto dim on my rearview mirror is allegedly turned on. However, I don't think it does anything. I have never seen a difference between on and off on any auto-dimming mirror in any car I have driven. If I could get a rearview mirror with HomeLink, a compass, a temperature display, and the manual day/night lever at the bottom of the mirror, I would be very happy. Unfortunately, it seems the day/night lever is only available with the manual transmission package. In other words, the manufacturers won't give me what I want. Story 24. My vehicle has a refrigerated compartment in the center console that is big enough for 4 cans or bottles, but I usually forget I have it unless we are on a road trip, which is rare. Story 25. My sound system has an option that says Program Type Category. I call it the Party Cat, but I have no idea what it does. Story 26. In my truck, the backup camera was one of the early models. The screen is a 3 cm by 6 cm square in the mirror. It uses a fisheye lens, so it is impossible to tell the actual distance to anything that is more than about 5 degrees from the dead center of the tailgate. Story 27. The ability to drive. My eyes are severely impaired. Even if I could pass the eye test to get a license, I have no depth perception, so operating a several-ton metal object at highway speeds seems like a bad plan. Story 28. Sunroof. Hated it. It is too noisy. Also, it is too hot to have anything but full-blast air conditioning. Story 29. Any self-driving feature. I am not taking my hands off the wheel. I tried the Tesla self-driving mode. It works pretty well, but I checked with my school group and 3 people had serious accidents because they used it regularly. Twice their cars were totaled. All said the same thing. For months it worked great. Then one day it suddenly jumped the curve it had driven past multiple times with no problem, or suddenly went off the road and into a ditch. Call me old, but I will probably never use the technology. Story 30. Sunroof and moonroof. My wife insisted on getting this on our last car, and I agreed because cars were in short supply in 2022, and she was paying for it. As far as I know, it has never been opened since we got the car. Story 31. Self-parking. The day I picked it up from the showroom, I requested they disable it. I can park anywhere, and so can my daughters, whom I taught to drive. I don't see a need for it. Story 32. BMW drivers often ask, what is the stick on the left side of the steering wheel for? When it is pushed up or down, an arrow keeps flashing and makes a clicking noise. Story 33. Lane departure assist and warning. I first discovered it while on a road trip and found it quite annoying the way it would control the steering wheel. It almost felt more dangerous having the feature turned on. Story 34. The little lever on my steering column. I accidentally hit it, and it made an annoying clicking sound and caused a light to flash on my dashboard. Story 35. My car is a pickup truck. I do not use the light that illuminates the trunk. Even if I needed to use the trunk, I do not remember there being a light switch. Story 36. Shifting my automatic transmission to first or second gear from a stop position. Do not drive in snow or tow anything. I have no use for those options. Story 37. My car came with a collision warning, which meant it started beeping loudly whenever I was trying to park and got within 3 feet of something. There was no way to change the sensitivity. It would have been nice if it warned me when I was within 6 inches of something, but instead, it beeped every single time I tried to pull into a parking spot. Story 38. I don't use my indicators enough. I should probably drive a BMW so people know what to expect from me. Story 39. I have a 1988 Honda Accord. It has pop-up lights. It allows you to flash the high beams by pulling the stalk, which opens the lights, flashes them, and then closes them again. I like that they added this feature, but it takes about a full second to flash, which kind of nullifies the point if you are using them to quickly warn other drivers. Story 40. My 1993 Lexus LS400 has a 12-disc CD changer in the trunk from the factory, which I have never used. It also has the Lexus phone in the center console. I cannot use it for obvious reasons. Story 41. Automatic headlight dimmer. I live on a very hilly and curvy road. It does not work well in this driving environment because it is not able to detect oncoming cars soon enough. My car has many cameras, but none of them move independently or continuously track the road ahead. Story 42. There are various garage door opener settings on my rearview mirror, as well as an option to switch from day to night. I have never used it. Twist the mirror to make it night mode and twist it back again in the morning. Story 43. Adaptive cruise control is essential because I live in Texas and get cut off every day. I cannot stand it when my car suddenly brakes, while a human driver would usually allow me to coast until there is a proper gap. Additionally, lane departure warning is important because when I am dodging potholes or debris in the road, I am unlikely to use my turn signal. Story 44. I bought a new car last year because my old car was not worth fixing. I also upgraded my 5-year-old cell phone. The car and the phone are the only two things I own with Bluetooth, and I have used it only twice. Also, I do not like the center console screen in new cars. I prefer buttons and dials. The screen takes too long to interact with. Story 45. Air conditioning is broken, and I swear this car is so cursed that I refuse to keep spending money on it. Between that, having a piece of gravel chip the windshield, a hole starting in the exhaust, and someone severely denting the bumper so the trunk won't open and then abandoning the car while I was at work, I am completely done. I just want this cursed thing gone. It's like my version of Homer Simpson's trampoline. I am done spending money on it. I am just saving for the down payment on a new vehicle. Story 46. Auto start and stop is aggravating at best and annoying at most. Every rental I use, I find that button to shut it off. Recent reports across several sites claim long-term use can cause damage. Story 47. I don't use my car's satellite navigation because it is not interactive. It does not show traffic issues, road closures, or how long it will take to reach my destination. It is basically a paper map on a screen. I would use it if my phone or TomTom were dead, both of which are unlikely. Story 48. Cruise control is broken. Sunroof is broken. Cooled seat is broken. I really want to fix that one, though. I need to get an oil change, new tires, blower motor, thermostat, and probably brakes before I have the money to even think about that. 2008 Avalon, if you're curious, has 350,000 miles and drives beautifully. I've put a lot into it so far due to meeting the mileage limitations and replacing end-of-life parts like the starter and struts. I love Ava dearly and want to see her reach 500,000 miles at least. I do want a new car someday, but Miss Ava has been my favorite car so far. Story 49. I do not roll my windows down, ever, so I do not use that feature. The windows will not roll back up if I do, so they stay up. Story 50. One of the buttons for cruise control is broken. I know how to set it, but it does not work. Story 51. Parking assist is a car feature that I do not use. The simple reason is that my vehicle does not have it. Story 52. I looked up the car mileage on the internet. It ranges from 44 to 60 miles per gallon, or 11 to 15.8 miles per liter. It is hard to believe you get an extra 7 miles on a single liter, especially considering all the fuel that cannot be measured. This is not a proper scientific experiment design and execution. Many variables are not controlled, and a single repetition is insufficient. Story 53. The daytime running lights are super expensive to replace. Why waste them? Also, the rain-sensing wipers are unnecessary. I will make that determination. Story 54. After my Kia Soul spent almost 2 months at the dealer before getting a new transmission, I never touched the sport mode button. Maybe I am just paranoid, but I would rather not test my luck. Story 55. High beams. I do not normally drive at night, and when I do, it is usually through the city and suburbs. There is no use for high beams when there are always other cars on the road and plenty of street and city lights. Story 56. My car has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Whenever I connect my phone to it, it becomes impossible to use the in-car navigation or the radio. I just connect via Bluetooth for my Spotify and tell the car to leave my phone alone. Story 57. Other than electric windows and locks, which are handy, And the radio for tunes, I want none of that other electronic equipment in my vehicle. All it does is break and is very expensive to fix. Some notable examples this week. New Ram trucks do not have dipsticks anymore. They use electronic monitoring. However, it was broken and indicated no oil. So how do you check? Electronic tailgates. Someone pushes the button, but the tailgate does not open. Why? For 50 years, you just pulled the handle. Heating, ventilation, and air conditioning controls, along with other controls, are in the large LCD display. Except the display does not work. All these features are making cars and trucks more dangerous, not safer. I could go on, but you get the point. Story 58. My truck has a sliding back window. I have opened it twice, and that was just to check something. So, I guess that is a useful feature. Story 59. Those shift paddles on my 2020 Camry or the manual shift on the stick are unnecessary. It's not a sports car. Bonus rant. The special block heater cord that plugs into the front spoiler. If you forget it at home or at work, an ordinary extension cord will not plug in. I had it bypassed, so now it uses a standard block heater cord. The original design required you to bend over, facing right into the headlight, trying to plug into a dark socket. Story 60. The backup camera is on my first car that has one. I often forget it is there when I put the car in reverse. I just use my mirrors or turn my head around. Story 61. Tesla's full self-driving feature is expensive and not very useful in my experience. It requires you to pay attention to the road. The internal camera monitors your gaze, and if it appears you are not paying attention, it prompts you to move the steering wheel. It feels like hovering over a nervous teenage driver. If I could recline with a drink and watch a show on the screen, it would be more useful to me. In its current form, it is not, partly because of legal challenges and regulatory scrutiny. Story 62. I do not use cruise control because I feel I would get too bored and zone out while driving. I also do not risk driving a manual transmission since I feel that would be too much. Story 63. I do not use one-pedal driving mode despite the energy gains possible while using it. I like to coast too much. Story 64. Self-parking. Even the dealer had trouble demonstrating it because the computer was trying to make a maneuver that the car was not physically able to perform. I also simply do not trust any self-driving features on general principle. Story 65. I have never used Bluetooth in any of my cars because the quality is poor compared to AirPods. For the listener, they tend to hear road noise, and when I did try it, it felt like I was yelling at my steering wheel. Story 66. Paddle shifters allow me to shift my automatic transmission as if it were a manual using these paddles. I don't know why they included that feature. Mitsubishi Outlander. Story 67. Sunroofs 3 of my last cars had them, and all of them broke. Tracks became misaligned, clogged, and the motor wore out. Plus, the kids did not find them amusing. The last car sealed the deal against sunroofs. It was a Kia Optima with a panoramic roof, and we got caught in a sudden hailstorm. I am talking about hail the size of golf balls pushing up to the size of baseballs. I was glad I had window insurance because it leaked every time it rained after that. Thankfully, it did not break while driving home. When the motor finally failed, I spent 2 years finding the exact vehicle I wanted, without a manual transmission. I love my 1996 Toyota 4Runner and have been going strong with it for 6 years. Story 68. Cruise control is useful. I had a brief period where I enjoyed it, but then I realized it made me pay less attention, and I was afraid of rear-ending someone. I might use it on an empty highway, but it is hard for me to justify even that. Story 69. In my 2020 Honda Civic, it has to be the collision mitigation feature. We have only had it activate in random situations where the car suddenly stopped in the middle of busy traffic due to false positives. In one case, it reacted to a leaf, and in another, it reacted to a vehicle making a left turn through the median in front of us. It has been a bit terrifying when it activates, so we usually turn it off. Story 70. Eco mode just makes the car slow. It is supposed to save gas by keeping the revolutions per minute down, but according to Consumer Reports, it does not work. Story 71. Android Auto. The built-in Nissan Maps is reliable, but Google Maps does not display on my dashboard. The audio delay can be quite noticeable, which is unusual for a wired connection. Story 72. Cruise control when it is sunny because my car has a forward attention sensor that cannot see my eyes through my sunglasses and thinks I am not looking ahead. Story 73. Cruise control. I'll fall asleep if I try. I know it. I have to be alert and focused, taking everything as it comes. Story 74. Air conditioning because the standard service offered was a scam. Check and recharge refrigerant. We went back and they said it was a visual check. They need to do more work for more money. Then we went back again the next month, and they told us everything needs to be replaced for more money. Story 75. Air conditioning, cruise control, sunroof, and my Toyota Tacoma's cell phone charger dock. The charger is ineffective, causes the phone to overheat, and barely charges it. Story 76. I was in a really bad car accident in a Volvo and all airbags deployed. There are many airbags for those unfamiliar. I was so disoriented by the smoke discharge, powder, and accident that I seriously thought the OnStar operator was a spirit from the afterlife guiding me to wherever my next home was going to be. It was so eerie I can still remember it vividly many years later. Story 77. The radio is not enjoyable because radio stations have too many commercials. Music of my choosing through my phone is much better than any radio station. Also, do not use built-in navigation as the car only allows one thing on the screen at a time. I prefer CarPlay where I can see and easily control navigation, music, and other items simultaneously. Story 78. Auto start-stop on our Subaru is frustrating. There is no finesse when you release the brake or the traffic light changes. The car inevitably jerks forward, which is annoying. I habitually turn it off when I get in the car since there is no way to permanently change that without some aftermarket parts. Story 79. The manual paddle shift option is something I might consider if I were to use that car in snow and icy conditions. For that, I have an old truck with a 5-speed stick. If it gets bumped, it's not like I would notice an extra ding or scratch. Story 80. Holding on to my 2010 model as long as I can. I think I would struggle with all these automatic features on the screen. I like a backup camera, but other than that, no. Story 81. Heated seats. I wanted a heated steering wheel. It is available, but I just do not use it. I would prefer vented seats, but as far as I know, Jeep does not offer them. Story 82. City mode is a feature that provides increased steering assistance at lower speeds. For example, to assist with parking or city traffic. Story 83. My 2016 Audi Q5 has a heated or cooled aluminum thermocup holder that is so useless on its prestige trim. It works fine, but I have never used it in 101,000 miles since new. Story 84. In my new car, there are only 4 physical buttons. They wasted one, the best one, the one closest to the driver, by making it a find the nearest parking lot button. The only place this makes sense to me is in the city, but I always plan where I'm parking anyway in a city. Besides, it does not even use Apple Maps or Google Maps through CarPlay. It just uses the built-in navigation. Story 85. Turned off after the first time I encountered it when driving it off from the dealer, never turned it back on, and will never turn it back on. Automatic stop/start. Used the radio about 5 minutes in the last 3 years. Sirius XM was used for about 1 minute by accident. The feature I love the most, though, is the auto hold when you press brake. I can never do long distances without it. Actually, I don't think I'll ever drive without it if I could help. Story 86. The built-in voice recognition system, combined with Alexa Lite, is not effective. Please allow me to continue using Android Auto. Story 87. Cruise control. Other than highway driving, I am never in an area where the speed limit and traffic would allow it to be used for more than a minute or so. When I am highway driving, I prefer to maintain my speed with my foot on the gas. I feel like it naturally keeps me focused on driving. Story 88. I just bought a 2019 Mustang, and it is an automatic, but my husband gets excited about the fact that it has paddle shifters when people ask, automatic or manual? I do not know what they do or how to use them. I probably never will know. Story 89. Start-stop brake system. Most annoying feature on modern cars. Why am I so hot all of a sudden? Oh, my car isn't on. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.